All right, welcome to Tuesday Night Live with Mechanic Alliance. We have got two guests with us at the moment, waiting on two more, possibly a third. We're just going to play it by ear and see what happens. We've got Ben Varnado. We've got that way. Get the finger pointer right. We got Bobby Huntley. Yeah, that way. And just like I teased, rumor has it, one of our guests is currently banned from Facebook. It's one of these four. Can you guess who? Anyway, you're right. So Bobby is inmate number, 3,267. So, anyways, before we get going too far, let's I also teased you with an announcement. We do have some good news for you guys looking to go out on your own, start your own business, and this goes right in hand with the My Certified Mechanic program that we offer to help you guys start your own business. We have partnered up with Olympus Lending, kind of local to us here in Utah, but they work nationwide. They're able to give you a loan and cover any startup costs that you need up to like $100,000. Frankly, if you go over that, I don't know what to tell you, but it doesn't cost that much, trust me. You can learn more at the My Certified Mechanic, where is it? This one. Right there. That's not a link. You can look at it, but you go to mechanicalliance.com, see the My Certified Mechanic tab, and you can learn more about that program. Anyways, let's dig into it. Tonight we're talking about wage systems, and I'm missing my Duke of Diagnostics. I've got the Sultan of Salary and the Horologist of Hourly down there. I know you guys aren't salary or hourly, but it's what I got at the moment.
It's a great start.
Nope, Zach's working on it. We'll work on him later.
Here comes Troublemaker, yeah.
We'll work with him in just a few minutes. As time goes on, we will get him in, and our flat rate fiend, Pat Grant, might be joining us. Dave's on the road, so you got us tonight. Ain't that wonderful? At least you're not looking at me and Bobby, or just me, because you really couldn't see Bobby on that last one, could you?
I could just hear my sultry voice.
So, Zach is saying this, dude, I keep trying to reconnect, but it's not working. Oh, hold on. We have a new guest. Pat Grant.
Finally fixed it.
Ooh, we have our flat rate fiend live in studio with us. How's it going, Pat?
Oh, it's going. Long day.
Oh, good.
They all are.
Like you were saying, someone was asking in the group, would you rather have someone that puts in 40, 50 hours by over 2 weeks? You're saying, heck, that's just Tuesday.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sometimes.
So let's start talking wage systems. Now, Pat, you're our flat rate guy, right?
I am.
And Bobby just disappeared on us. So, Ben, what are you? What's your mainstay? Hourly, salary, flat rate? What are you?
Currently, I'm flat rate.
Okay. So, how do you feel like? Ooh, here's Bobby. Bobby's back! Woo!
I'm new with this.
It's okay. We can move you around. So, Bobby, what's your poison wage system of choice? What are you working? What's your soup du jour?
If I had my choice, it would be a base hourly rate that is livable, and then a production bonus, or however you term it, on top of that. So that way, if we have dead weeks, people still go home with a paycheck so they can pay their bills. And when you have really solid weeks, you kill it, you're going home with a bunch of extra money. Either way, dealership is making money, and you are still too. And I think that's a super important part of it.
And that's solid. Pat, I know you've got an interesting take on the flat rate versus hourly. What's your preferred method?
Well, I mean, there's got to be a guarantee in there, because they have to guarantee me that they're going to bring me the work. Now, if I screw off and I don't get the 40, that's on me. But if you don't bring the work, why am I going to suffer?
Totally
You know what
fair.
I mean, so I mean, a flat rate with a guarantee is the way to go. I haven't lost yet, so.
And I don't think you're likely to lose the way you crank out hours.
I don't know. It's just easy.
Understood. Ben, how about you? What's your preferred system?
My preferred system is, it's kind of like what both of them were saying. I mean, let's start with a good guarantee, which I would call salary. To me, flat rate with guarantee is the salary with a production bonus. So I kind of agree with Bobby. Let's give me a good base with a production bonus on top of it.
Okay. Hey, Zach, you with us?
You know, the thing about that, Eric, is that, and these guys are all right, and I know owners don't like that, but whose job is it to make sure these guys are busy 40, 50 hours a week? The owner. And if the owner isn't going to keep them busy because he's not advertising, not doing a social, not doing whatever, why should these guys suffer?
Yeah, because when I went to the shop I'm at now, I wanted to stay hourly. I was no, dude, I don't want flat rate. I don't. He's like, and then finally he's like, look, I guarantee you, I will bring you these hours. I'll pay you this much, and a guarantee that you're going to hit that 40. You know, and I mean, with COVID and crap, it really helped because there was a few times that we didn't do the numbers, and he did have to cover that. But you know, in general, he doesn't have to come up very much.
That's totally fair. So, and I also recognize that to do flat rate, bunny ears right. I mean, Pat, you've got an interesting situation where you've got a guy that's doing a majority of the diagnostics. Am I right?
Right. Yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, any heavy diagnostics. I mean, if I'm in something that ended up, going back to the computer or something, I'll step out and hand it over to him. That way he can go in depth. And that's how he gets paid anyway. He gets paid off a percentage of what the shop does.
Okay.
He gets a percentage of parts. He gets a percentage of the shop time. And he very rarely does he turn a wrench.
It's been interesting on doing this wage map that we're putting together. I'm just looking at it here. We got some guys that are getting paid a flat rate plus commission. In fact, a flat rate plus commission plus bonus. Number of shops, only 4 out of about 100 yearly bonuses. I even saw one today that came through from Austin, Texas. He gets paid, and it's a dealership, a paid retention bonus at the end of the year.
That sounded pretty nice.
That is stellar.
That's something a lot of other shops should start thinking about doing.
Yes.
Especially given
I will say I mean, I'm in the Austin area, and one of the things is they are hurting bad. Hello? They are hurting for technicians right now in this area. So the ownership, they are getting creative with their pay structures. I mean, the shop I came from in Georgia, we were straight hourly. It was a little less stress, but I kind of like the Austin market because they are starting to think outside the box on what do we need to do to make sure the technicians are happy. I'm not saying all of them are, but the ones that are getting the good techs and keeping the good techs, they're kind of getting creative in their pay structures.
That's kind of cool.
So what parts did you like about the hourly?
The part I liked about the hourly was, for one, I had a great shop foreman. And it was nice that all I had to focus on was the product. What's the product I'm turning out? It didn't matter if it took you 2 to 3 hours to get through this 94 F-150 that hasn't ran in 8 months, because you were making the same on it. Now my con behind it is because I was hourly, I could say, no, I don't want to work on this.
On that hourly, so how were they charging the customer? Were they charging your actual on time then, or were they flat rate and manualing it?
Well, that was an interesting thing. So basically, my job there was to check out every vehicle that came in the door, and I was to write up whatever I found on it, and basically it would get handed off to 2 or 3 other about C or B level technicians to do the work. So I never actually really turned a wrench much, kind of like how Pat's talking about. Well, what they were doing in the beginning was they were taking the diag fee, and if the customer did the work, they would take it off the ticket. Well, the problem with that is upstairs, they started looking at my numbers and they said, we're paying him X amount, but he's only turning so many hours a week. And my shop foreman stepped up and kind of said, like, I remember one week they said, we paid him X amount, but he only turned 8 hours of labor in 5 days. And my shop foreman stepped up to the plate and just goes, those 8 hours were because he had the 2 other guys too busy and he physically actually had to do the work. And eventually what they did was they started putting the diag fee on, and if the customer did the work, they would credit them back. So then they could actually keep track of how many cars was I actually touching. But in all honesty, on hourly, I was like, look, if you want to give it away to them for free, as long as you're paying me well, keeping me with plenty of equipment that I need, hey, that's on you then. That's your problem. But on flat rate, that problem is now my problem. And that's kind of one of the reasons, that's one of the things I don't like about a pure flat rate with no guarantee system. When you have a technician that has to go argue with management because they're not going to put a diag on Miss Smith's car because she's a good customer, that's taking money out of my pocket. That's taking food off my kids' plates.
Oh yeah, I feel that.
100%.
I actually had luckily I have where I'm at now, I've got a bunch of young service riders that we have a good respect between all of us. And I basically pulled up one of my scanners one day and held it up, and I go, at $5,000 scanner, and it cost me $1,000 a year to keep it up to date. Now you know why I don't go do code scans for free. And once I explained it to them like that, they go, oh, okay, that makes sense. I was like, yep, you want me to go out there and just read you a code? Put a diag on it.
They just want a code red. That's what AutoZone's for.
That's exactly what I was going to go to Riley's or AutoZone and bring me a printout so I can throw it in the trash can.
Yeah,
and the interesting thing is, I'm 41 years old. All my service riders are under 27 years old. They don't remember the days when AutoZone first started doing the free code reads, and I don't know how many EGR valves I put on for a PO401 code, knowing dang good and well it wasn't going to fix it. Or how many PO171s that they would come in with an O2 sensor, and you know good and well it's not going to fix a 171, 174 on a Chevrolet pickup truck.
Yep. Diagnosing from the desk doesn't work anyway. It works even less when the people up there know absolutely nothing about how the cars that they're attempting to diagnose work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I think the word diagnose should be trademarked to the point where they can't use it.
Marv, I guess that's why we say we test, we don't guess. We're not going to guess.
Absolutely. And there's no reason to. I mean, you're either a technician or you're a knuckle dragger.
So I've got a couple of interesting. Go ahead.
In some situations, in some shop scenarios, I mean, you kind of, I hate to say it, but you kind of need the knuckle dragger. I mean, that was what made the shop I came from work so good. Was like we were joking earlier about writing up 40 hours in one day. Well, it didn't bog me down to hand that off to 2 other guys. And that was my job, was to every AC check, every diag, whatever I wrote up, it went to those 2 guys. It didn't matter I didn't do the work. I got paid for it.
But they weren't throwing parts at it, right?
They were not throwing parts. They were installing.
Yeah, and I guess I should define knuckle dragger. Anybody that throws parts at a car is a knuckle dragger. Because come on, there's no reason that you can't. Like we talked before this started on checking for a head gasket leak with a stupid warranty company. There's no reason to throw parts at a car. There never is. There isn't. It's garbage in, garbage out, good in, garbage out. I mean, we all know the stuff. A true technician doesn't have to throw parts at a car.
And Shane Smiley in the chat bleacher says, honestly, if it wasn't for Knuckle Draggers, a lot of us would be out of business. We got to have those guys screwing stuff up to get cars that come back and change shops and go to a different place.
I'd rather not have it at all because it's those
agree.
people that give the rest of us the bad rep, and they go and they spend $600 at some shop just to have the car not fixed, and then they have to come to somebody who's honest and will actually do the diagnostics and say, hey, you know what? This $10 sensor is all you needed. Sorry, you had to spend $600 at the other guys who didn't know what they were doing.
This is true.
So,
I mean,
two-edged sword.
Bobby, say it louder for the ones in the back, man. I agree with you on that. No,
But you know what?
seriously,
There's a lot.
well,
There's a lot. Go ahead.
Well, we always talk about how there's 10% of really good, honest technicians, but the problem is the 90% give us a bad name.
Yeah.
This is true. We want to help improve the reputation, not destroy it further than it already is. It's in our best interest.
Training. That's something that a lot of shop owners, ones that I've personally worked for, they could care less about. You'll do their training, like they'll have me go to a tire installation course, so they can be like, "You're TIE certified." Like, are you kidding me? I've known how to mount a tire for 18 years. Like, why am I going to this class? Well, we want you to be certified. I'm like, I want to go to engine diagnostic class. They're like, no, we can't afford that. We can't pay to send you to training that's not our own. I'm like, what?
Heaven forbid they do something to actually improve the value that you can bring.
Oh yeah, they didn't see it as that at all. They're like, I explained to them. I was going to the TST big event in New York, which it's a 3-hour drive, not a huge thing for me. And I explained it to them. I'm like, this is what this is gonna be. This is like, I gave them the whole thing of what they was gonna go over, who was gonna be there, talking. And my district manager looked at it and he was just like, I don't see the value in this. I'm not going to pay for this. And I'm like, cool. Then I'm taking the day before off and the day after off, and I'm going anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care. You don't want to pay for it? Fine. I'm paying for it myself. I'm not going to lose out on it because you don't see the value in it. You not seeing the value in it doesn't mean it doesn't have value. And that's what we have to get through to some of the owners of these shops. Is like, hey, you might not see that this is immediately going to make you money, but in the long run, it definitely will, because we'll be able to fix more cars. We'll be able to fix them the first time. We'll be able to handle more complicated problems. You'll be able to charge more because now you can say, oh, I have a guy in the back who's really good at engine diagnostics.
Well, Bobby, I got something to add along to that.
Sure.
People have asked me before, they said, why? Because I've had to interview a lot because my wife was military and we moved a lot. And people say, how do you do so good interviewing? I said, honestly, I keep in the back of my mind that if you as an employer don't hire me, you better pray your competitor down the street doesn't.
That's legit.
I mean, and I'm not trying to go in there with an ego or confidence, but
no, you have to go in there with confidence. You know what you know. They don't.
I put that much time and investment into my craft that, if you don't hire me, please pray that your close competitor doesn't.
Well, you've got to be confident in what you're doing. I mean, that's why you've done it for so many years and you're good at what you do. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
I try, but I'm not going to let that ego get too big.
Right.
No.
There's a fine line between.
But do we not all get humbled? Because I've seen it many times where a guy says, I got that one covered, and it kicks him right in the ass, and I just laugh.
Happened to me.
Yeah. Eminem said it best, that flat back to reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zach managed to join us in the chat bleachers. His comment, Pat, you might want to plug your ears on this one. He says flat rate sucks. I've been abused by flat rate. I also see flat rate as a huge obstacle for new technicians. I can see that in some capacity. It's too easy for shop owners to have free labor on call waiting for work in the shop. And yeah, and I can get there in those circumstances where you've just, it's all oil changes all day long. Yeah, that's a problem. When you're using it incorrectly as more of a detriment to the guys on the floor, that's where the problem really can be.
Yeah, I've definitely had bosses when I ask them, like, hey, there should be an hour diag on this, and they'll be like, no, we can't charge for diagnostics. Nobody around here charges for diagnostics. And I'm like, there's a Toyota dealership and a Lexus dealership within a mile of here, and a Volkswagen dealership too. I guarantee you, if I call them, they're charging for diagnostics.
See, and that's the problem there is it's the owner. Again, when we talk about the flat rate and the hourly, why should you be penalized because the owner's too damn scared to do that? When I moved to St. George 24 years ago, and I've done this twice, I opened in this area $5 above everybody else. And they said, you're not going to make it. But as I continued to raise my rates, guess what everybody else did?
Yeah.
You know, it's somebody's got to lead the pack. And that's the thing is they're too damn chicken to do it, or they're too afraid to charge the customer. It's just like, I get this one, and I know there's a lot of guys out there listening, but why are you so scared to call the customer at the end of the week or the end of next week to see how that repair went? Are you really afraid that you don't do a good enough job? Maybe you don't. I don't know. But all my customers get called back to see how they did because, you know, here's the analogy. When I did that, when I opened my first drivability shop, which was my last shop I opened, I always told the deal. I'd take the customer out and show them, hey, this is the mass airflow sensor I replaced. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So the guy drives home. He had a true story too. He drives home, brand new house. About a week later, he gets an oil drip on his driveway. Guess who he comes to? Hey, you worked on my car. It leaks oil. Well, Bobby, let's go out and take a look at that. So we go out, we look at it. I said, well, here's your mass airflow sensor. I look underneath. I show him where the leak is. I'm done. Because I showed him what I had done, what I had replaced. You know, these guys try to get it in, get it out too fast. You've got to slow down. You got to charge for it. And you've got to take the time to do it because it will save you on that in the end. When a shop's afraid to charge for diagnosis or they're afraid to raise their rates, guys, it's springtime. Everybody everywhere should be going up. End of sentence.
Especially with the way the economy's going lately. I mean, have we looked at inflation? I mean,
I've seen lots of shop owners scared to do that. They go for the easiest money they can because they feel that if they get competitive trying to bring in the more complex jobs that I don't think they have the confidence in their staff to be able to do it and do it right. In which case, it's like, well, you know, if you don't have the confidence in your staff, maybe you should be looking at other staff or get them trained. Find out. Look at why are you not confident in them? Yeah. Are they not confident in themselves? Do you need to be, you know, as an owner, manager, whatever? Do you need to really step up and be that leader in the shop? And be like, hey, I see you're struggling with this. You know, assuming that they came from the same background, you can say, hey, you know, let's take a look at this together. Okay. Instill some confidence in your technicians. And that way, you know, they'll be more likely to bring you, you know, more complex problems. Think of how many technicians will go inspect a car and they'll see something like, you know, broken manifold stud or something like that. And they're just like, nope, I'm not even going to say anything about that. Let's get the oil change and get it out of here. Or they do, and the boss comes out and says the exact same thing. Like, nope, we're not getting into that, and ships the car. It's like, you know, yeah, that could have been a hard job. Or if you got somebody who's really good at welding and being able to put that nut on the end of it, weld a bit on there and twist the thing out, you know, you can charge a customer a lot of money for that because that's a pretty specialized skill. Yeah, it's going to suck up some shop time, but you know, you're going to probably earn a customer for that, for being honest with them and being like, yeah, we can take care of this for you.
Well, and that's great. And Thomas Allen asks a great question. How y'all handling intermittent issues on the billing side? You know what? It's blocks of time, guys. I do my diag. I know where I'm at, Mr. Customer Ben. let me tell you what's here. We've gone through this. We've done this. This is where we've achieved everything. I need 2 hours of time. If I get it done for less than 2 hours, I'll charge you accordingly. At the end of 2 hours, I will show you what we've done, where we're at, and we're going to go from there. There's no reason that you should be giving away any of your time, and you don't have to. You have to if you pick the wrong customers, because if you're picking the customer that's a DIYs going into AutoZone, guys, my customers don't even know how to open the frickin' hood. That's the customer I want. I'm not going to compete. I see all the time on our group about, well, that's not true. Yeah, it is. When I'm dealing with Ethel and Merle, who are in their 62, retired executive of a bank, or Robert Gurr, who's an attorney that actually in high school built a 63 Chevy truck he still has, but doesn't want to touch it, doesn't want to open the hood. That's the customer I want. End of sentence. I'm not going to compete with AutoZone. You guys are trying to compete with the do-it-yourselfer. You're going to lose.
Nope, because they're the like what I said last week with that that YouTube video where somebody came in and was like, "Hey, they showed a faster way to do this. Why are you charging me 7 hours when it can be done in 3?" Like, how do you even begin to talk to that customer? Like, well, you've got the YouTube video. Why don't you just go do it yourself? Because
and
I don't want to get involved in this, and I don't want to have you second guessing everything I've done. Because you know they're the type that'll go there and try to give their own little second check on the repair to make sure it was done right, even though they have no idea what you did.
You're opening a can of worms. I'm in a shop this last week, and we were talking about bringing their own parts. He says, yeah, and I've heard this too, and you guys are wrong again. I'm sorry. I respectfully disagree with every one of you that think you need to put on a customer's part. No, you don't. And charging extra labor is going to bite you in the ass too, because sooner or later there's going to be a complaint on his part, and he got the wrong part. So now your base tied up, and you got to wait to get the right part. Guys, you bring your own part, bring your own labor.
No,
you have to set the ground.
I've had customers do that, and not only do they bring the wrong part, but they will not let us get the right part. They demand that they go to the store and get the right part. And I'm like, I'm pushing this car outside. I don't give a fuck. Like, let this dude come and work on it in the parking lot. I don't care. He's not wasting any more of my time.
Ben, you guys don't do that as a dealer, do you?
No, we don't at all. I have never seen that turn out as a positive situation.
Never. It degrades you as a technician, too.
Well, I mean, you're going to be getting a substandard. Let's just be honest. The customer never believes a part fails. They never believe a part fails. So the part they brought didn't fail. It had to have been the tech that installed it.
Yeah, because none of us have ever gotten bad parts straight out of the box.
No, I never have been. Bobby, where do you live?
Fuel pumps. Like, come on. But then the customer never sees that. We do. We see the bad starters out of the box. We see the bad alternators out of the box. I worked for Advanced Auto Parts for a little while, and I'd say our starter and alternator failure rate within a week, 30% easily. My shelves in the back were filled with returns. And, you know, how are you going to explain that? Well, sorry, the brand new part you bought's defective. They don't see that in other areas. Yeah. They don't like go to the store and buy a gallon of milk and it's stamped, hey, it's going to be, bad in 3 weeks, and they open it, it's bad immediately. Like, that doesn't really happen. And certainly if it does happen in any other, kind of commercial sense, it doesn't happen with anywhere near as much frequency as we see it.
Well, and the issue where they say about buying the part and and raising the price, that'd be like walking into Walmart and saying, Walmart, I want to buy that shirt at your cost. It ain't gonna happen. It's not.
Well,
there's a reason we mark it up.
Well, I'm going to also throw you another. I had a discussion with a shop owner that did install customer supply parts, and they would always their cover story behind it is, we always write on the bill and the customer signs it that we're not liable for the part. Yeah. And I said, guys, how many court cases do you want me to print out for you where that has been thrown out in a court of law? Because guess what? We are considered the experts, and we are expected to know better. I mean, I've even joked with some guys as a joke and totally said, you know what? The best thing in the world is not to go to training. And they said, well, why is that? I said, because you're not expected to know better.
But you know what? That's the thing, is you open yourself up again when you do something like that, because, okay, so I'm writing on there that it's not warranted, but you still end up in court. It still costs you money and costs you time. Is it worth it? No, it's not. All it takes
and
is
it still
one
costs
time.
you a bad Google review.
Absolutely. It's not worth it.
I mean, look,
we
I don't know what's worth. I don't know what's worse, a bad Google review or a lawsuit anymore.
Yeah. we had a guy. In fact, we've had one specific one that reached out to us yesterday. He's got 2 old Dodge Vans. He wants to trade engines and motors across. I said, "Yeah, no, cowboy. We'll send that down the road. Not even going there."
Yeah.
You know,
that is just a pile of worm. That is, you're gonna get into that, and it's gonna be like,
it's
oh,
never.
sorry, by the way, that motor that was in the good van, not that good.
It's not.
Well,
So
it's your fault.
So let's stir it up a little bit, Eric. You got something to say?
Here, let me throw one more thing out there.
Yeah.
I still tell customers and younger guys that are in the room, this is how it was in the 90s and early 2000s. You would do a diagnostic flow chart, and at the very end of it, it would say replace known good. That was code word for order the part from the dealer. Well, now what's a known good?
Yeah.
Do y'all still, I mean, Marvin, you probably still remember that. The very bottom of the flow chart, replaced with known good part.
Well, and the OEM was the big one on that. Yeah, the OEM was replaced with known good PCM. Well, I don't have, as an indie, I don't have 16 PCM sitting on the shelf. And then I would be pissed as a customer knowing you hooked that PCM up to another car and put it on my car. Is that not used now? It's not brand new.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what feedback you got. I don't know what
Nowadays, you can't even guarantee. I mean, I still have a running joke. If it's an electrical part and it comes in a blue box, don't tighten the bolts too much because you're probably going to take it back out.
There you go. So let's.
I'm not going to name the brand, but it kind of is a region in California that they grow wine. They make wine in.
Yeah, I know.
Funny part is, in my area, those are the best ones I can get. Everything else fails, but those work.
I want to throw this out. Chuck couldn't be here. Chuck is lives in a town of 1,600 people, about 45 minutes north of St. George down here. The man makes 40% of labor, no parts margins. Took home last year a grundle of money. His boss gives him a 2-week vacation, gives him 8 holidays, gives him a $200 per paycheck 401k, and he's killing it. He's been with him 23 years. And I did and went to him and found out these owners that complain, I've been an owner. Come on, guys. Open up the purse strings, because that owner last year, just doing their taxes off of Chuck, one tech, made $145,000. I got 3 techs. That gives that owner $450,000. You can't live on that? Well, you're going to be doing it yourself real soon.
I can.
But that's the deal. You know, the people that are beating us up. And this was not the program we want to talk about at a later date. This is his taxes are taken out and everything. Chuck's made good money and the owner's made good money. And he stays out of his way. Chuck does everything. Chuck runs that whole back. Chuck takes the customers in. He's got 4 bays. He's got another tech that works underneath him that gets paid. So, you know, when an owner, and this really bothers me, when an owner says, well, I only made $60,000. Yeah, that's because you wrote the truck off and you wrote the office off in the house and you wrote the vacation off. If you move all that stuff down to that line, you made a lot more. So I'm not saying you got to give up the farm, but I'm saying you're losing the farm because you ain't paying the guys. Okay, have they started over here screaming?
Well, we got people saying, just like Bobby, I can live off 150,000.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'm looking at an ad right now on Indeed for a Goodyear near me, and a general maintenance technician. And the description is tires, oil changes, batteries, maintenance items, basic front end work. So, you know, tie rods, maybe alignment, basic brakes. and they're paying $16 to $18 an hour.
Oh yeah.
I worked at a Subaru dealership, and the average of all of the like full flat rate techs was $21 an hour. So you're telling me that they're going to pay a kid to pretty much a lube tech, maybe like, with a little bit light mechanical,
Lube Tech
almost the same, $3 less an hour than they're paying a technician at Subaru dealership who's pulling motors and rebuilding them under warranty.
You must not have seen my last post that goes right along with that on the wage map deal. And I'm going to keep making it
Bang
longer.
on Facebook. I don't see anything.
Oh yeah. Okay. So here's what happened today, Mr. Troublemaker. So I had one that came in today on our magic map that we're doing. Here's a guy. I was talking with Joshua Moore, and we were talking about. I had one that came in Amarillo, Texas. Texas can be good. Texas can be bad, right, Ben? So Amarillo,
absolutely.
Mechanic assistant, $9 to $11 an hour at a Ford dealership. The same town, a new Wendy's opens and pays $12 to $14. So Josh says the dealer I was at was paying apprentices and lube techs $14 and less. Fast food, Zaxby's next door was $15. Hobby Lobby was $19. Little Caesars was $16. So here's what I did. I took the math and I figured out the equivalent of the three, averaged them out. So if you got a guy who's going to go work for a dealer at $9 an hour for 40 hours, he's going to make $18,000 a year. Or for $16 average, he goes to Hobby Lobby. That kid makes $33,280 a year. Why the hell would he not take that $14,000 and build his own cars in his backyard?
Yeah, and working for Hobby Lobby, he doesn't have to buy tools.
Yeah.
Correct.
See,
And that's someone coming right in off the bat. No previous anything, coming just to learn.
it's
How much
jacked
money do you
up.
think some kid has to spend in the first year? Now I'm saying have to. I'm not saying they walk on the Snap-on truck and get conned into buying an $800 wrench set, which we all know happens.
Yeah, we've done
Going
that.
to going to Lowe's, wherever.
Yeah.
You're probably in another $1,000 in the first year for a toolbox, a good wrench set, a couple of socket sets, 3/8, 1/4, some impact 1/2 inch, an impact gun. That right, just the toolbox and the gun could be $1,000 if you paid too much for them. Like
There you
go.
there's no reason to take that job. You're $1,000 in the hole as soon as you start it.
Yeah.
Well, can I pivot the conversation into a slightly different direction?
Sure.
About how it can be good in Texas and it can be bad in Texas. So when we moved to Texas 6 years ago, my wife was stationed at Fort Hood. Up until then, I had worked all either hourly or salary jobs. And I get to Texas. I'm in Killeen, Texas, which is a small military town. And basically, everybody's paying flat rate. And that's, okay, that is what it is. So, they were bringing me in with 6 ASEs at $20 an hour. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the going rate. Cost of living's less. In some areas, that's good money. But the problem was, there wasn't enough cars. There were literally too many shops and not enough cars. As a lead tech one day, the kid that did 2 state inspections had more hours than I did in that day. And I like to have starved for 3 years. And finally I said, you know what, forget this. I'm driving to Austin. And next thing you know, I'm working in a shop making $30 an hour. We've got cars coming in.
There you go.
Nonstop. To me, that's what I hate about the flat rate system, because most shop owners are going to blow smoke. Man, I've got so many cars. I'm going to bring you in here, and then next thing you know, I got 5 cars this week. That was it, and you've got nothing to fall back on. And I remember my accountant yelling at me because she goes, "Wait a minute, you've got more ASCs, more tools, more experience, and you're making less money." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't get it either." So that's one of the reasons I hate flat rate, because it's like a boyfriend girlfriend meeting somebody at a bar. The shop looks good, man, they're cute. until you start dating them and you realize, man, their personality sucks.
I love it. I love it. You're good. You're awesome.
100%.
I'll never forget one of the shops I worked in. We were slow. I had no guarantee. I was flat rate, and I remember the shop owner saying, "Hey, you know, we're not really doing anything. Why don't you clean the bathroom?" And I looked at him and I said, "Make me a ticket for it." I said, "Make me a ticket for it." And he goes, "Well, I'm not. That's not a car you're working on." I said, "Then I'm not. I'm only get paid by the labor I do that you built out. So guess what? I'm not cleaning your bathroom unless I'm getting paid for it."
There you go.
And then what? And then why is it then the shop owners go, "Well, man, they keep job hopping." Now you know.
Because if you treat flat rate techs like they're hourly techs, they're not going to stay around.
Yeah. Or in that situation, he came in and said, if a car comes in at 4:00 in the afternoon, we expect you to stay till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I came in at 8. I'm not staying here till 10 o'clock just because you got me one car at 4:00 in the afternoon. It's not going to happen. So that's my rant on it. I mean, I hate it on flat rate because you don't know who the good shops are until you went through 2 or 3 or 4 of them when you walk into a brand new town.
Well, and
it doesn't cost them any money to keep you standing around either.
No,
but yet, they're the first to complain when they say we can't find good techs. Well, guess what? You probably had one. You just didn't have to work to see that it was good.
Well, and that's why we talk, guys, right here. Fire the boss, be the boss. I was talking with a guy down here. We brought on we opened up, and Eric will be pushing it this week, a territory where we're at with a great man, 35-year-old Marcus. And, it's time to go do it yourself. I mean, you can be a consultant for shops and go in and fix their problem children. There's other ways to make it. You have to have the drive and the desire. And I know Eric will touch on a lot of that other stuff, how we can help. But, the problem is a lot of guys are looking down this tunnel and that light isn't coming towards them. It's going further away, and they're just getting deeper into the industry, losing more money, not paying the bills, not able to raise the families. Cost of living's gone through the roof. And, I was just talking to a shop this week too, where it was a Mercedes shop. They'd raised their labor rate like $12, didn't give a dime, not a dime to the techs. Well, you know what? I'd be leaving. There are good shops out there, guys. That's the thing. We'll help you find them. They're out there. You just got to go get it.
Yeah. I still feel that one of the best answers in the world, and I know this is going to make some people mad, is to see some of these shops die. Let them die. I mean, I'd love to see every good shop owner that takes care of his guys have a stack of resumes sitting on their desk.
Yeah.
And not the other way around where the really good shop owners are saying, I can't find a tech. I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. I worked for one company in Savannah that was really, really good. And I remember when I got hired on, the guys in the shop saying, hey, if you go to negotiate a raise, whatever you do, don't tell them, if you don't pay me more, I'm going to leave. He said, because that guy will open the door for you and tell the secretary, hand me the stack of resumes.
Yeah. It's awesome. What didn't we had somebody post on there this week that said it was a shop owner that had open a can of worms here probably, but he had 3 guys that said they'd show up and didn't show up. I mean, I don't know what the issues are there, but reach out to us. Let us help you with it, because there's a lot of things that something's missing. We're not perfect either. Even in our business, we're learning as we're growing and all that, but you got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to make the changes to see what's going on, and to follow through with it, because if you don't, that same thing 2 years from now, all your guys are gone. You're there by yourself. If you're not paying them enough, then you've already on your way out.
Yeah, and Travis,
I'll go back to
Travis throws in an interesting comment. Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
I'll go back to my Killeen, Texas scenario. When you've got a bunch of shops trying to eat cars for 100,000 population, the more shops you open, it's kind of like a fishbowl. If you put 10 fish in there and you drop the food in there, they eat. Well, if you put 12 fish in there and drop the same food, they don't eat. So if we could slowly let the dead shops just die off, then guess what? The ones that are remaining will have plenty of work. And everybody used to ask me when I first moved to Clean, they said, well, what do you think about the town? I said, honestly, I could go buy a lift, a tire machine, a balancer, and a sheet metal building from those, and you wouldn't be able to find my shop because there's 20 others just like me.
Yeah.
You know, that was the way that town was. And the first guy I worked for, he had $110 labor rate, and the shop across the street was charging $70 labor rate. Guess whose parking lot was full? And but guess who turned out the quality work? The 110. We were the ones doing the computer programming. We were the ones that the other shop was sending the cars over to get flashed in a line.
And your shop probably looked nice too. These guys that have these dives, I've traveled the country. I've walked into some of them and it's like, oh my gosh, you're charging 60, you're not worth 20. I mean, it's amazing what a coat of paint will do. Guys, clean it up.
Yeah.
I worked in one of them that he had a VA. He had the contract with the VA, and he only had 2 racks in the shop. And I looked at him one day. I said, "Well, are you going to get any more racks?" And he said, "No." And finally, I looked at him and I said, "The only thing you're offering me, I can't offer myself then, is a paycheck, and I can fix that part really quickly."
Yeah,
Yeah. So Travis makes an interesting point. A lot of times it's not the owner that makes the shop, it's the bad manager. But it is the owner, because ultimately the owner is responsible for everything underneath.
Yeah.
If you got a bad manager that's ruining the shop, a good owner is the operative word here. A good owner is going to go, hey, you're kind of creating a horrible environment for our guys to work in. Hit the road. So
and Eric knows this statement. You hire to yourself. If you're a shitty owner, you're going to hire a shitty manager. That shitty manager is going to hire a shitty tech. If you're a dynamic owner, you're going to hire a dynamic manager. He's going to hire dynamic techs. I've been in the corporate world of Big O and Grease Monkey, and I tell you what, I saw it. And we left. They brought in somebody like that. We left. We all jumped over to Grease Monkey because of that. So it starts at the top. That person's responsible. Nobody else is. If the bay's empty, the owner's responsible. It's always his.
Yeah, I've seen that happen down here a bit, but it's owners that buy into shops, like they buy a franchise of like a Midas or a Meineke or something like that, and they're very hands off. They're just like, we'll bankroll you, get what you need, run the shop right. And they don't know how to run the business. They don't understand what needs to be done to make the business successful. So they don't understand how to fix it when it's failing. And they're just like, well, can't we just throw money at it? It's like, no, you can't just throw money at it. You need to get the right people in there who understand, hey, this is how a shop is supposed to be run. Running it from the manager level down, in my opinion, is an entirely different thing than running it from the manager level up. Because the owners, if they're not in, they can have the greatest business sense in the world, and the manager may or may not, but they might be a decent tech and they might know the ins and outs of the back end of the shop, but those two don't communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And it turns bad because the owner's like, well, I'm doing everything in my mind that's right because I know the business aspect of it. Why isn't this working? The manager's saying, hey, I'm doing what I think is right at the shop end of things, but it's not, we're not meshing because maybe the owner has different expectations.
Well, and you're right.
Let me throw one.
Go ahead.
I can throw one other variable into that too on that situation. In business, I was taught this years ago by a business guy that said it's called the rocking chair race car philosophy. And it kind of threw me for a curveball. I was like, what the hell does that mean? And he goes, a rocking chair is comfortable, but it never gets you anywhere. A race car gets you somewhere fast, and you constantly make adjustments between pit stops or every drag race run. And that makes perfect sense. Yeah, the rocking chair it's comfortable, but it never gets you anywhere. But the race car, yeah, you have to constantly make changes. You have to maintain it. You have to take care of it, and it'll get you somewhere fast.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, it's
so the shop owners that don't make. It's funny too. I see it in shops all over the country from our travels. Is you see the shop owners, they get the shop going, it does really good. 10 years down the road, it's starting to fail, and you go, well, what have you changed in 10 years? Well, nothing.
Yeah,
because
nothing
it was
wrong.
comfortable not to make a change.
The world has changed.
It was not. It was
10 years. You haven't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, and that's
in
a
the
lot.
rocking chair.
And that's a lot too. See, and there's another program that we want to roll out one day, and that is those old owners. We're seeing it all the time, as well as you guys are. We got a first generation owner, and he's done. He's closing up, hanging the shingle, and we got young blood like some of you guys out there to come in and do that. We got a program we've worked on, and we want to be able to instigate it after we have so much on our plate, guys. We're trying to keep you guys ahead, but with this program that we had would allow the owner to keep that shop, get money through his retirement as we help oversee it for him as a young blood comes in and takes over, so that down the road they own it and it doesn't go by the wayside. Because there's a lot of good businesses that are shutting down because they're just worn out guys, and that's really sad because we got good blood out there.
Well, I'm going to give you two guys a catchphrase. I promise I won't trademark it, and I won't charge you for using it.
We love it.
Why is it in an automotive shop we tell customers that you need to maintain your vehicles and change the oil every 3,000 miles and keep up on maintenance, but we don't do the same thing in our shops?
Exactly. Do what I say, not as I do.
Yeah, we don't listen to our own advice.
We don't. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely
So guys,
right.
We are running up on. We're closing in an hour. Can you believe that?
I had a lot of comments tonight.
All right, well,
guys.
So, anyways,
I had a monster. We can keep going.
Oh yeah, this could be like 2 or 3 hours easy.
my kids are going to start me looking for where I'm at.
I'm in the office on the computer. What? Here I am. You know. Goodbye.
Oh, that's funny. But anyways, guys, lots of great points. Sorry we lost Pat near the middle of that. Pat, thank you so much for being on at the beginning there. Zach, we tried. I'm sorry. We'll figure it out another time.
Mechanics for better internet.
Mechanics for better internet. We'll work on that. We'll see if we can rally the troops behind that one, Bobby. But anyways, Bobby, thanks again for being on. Ben, thanks for being on too. It's been awesome having you both on. We've had lots of good conversations. We've had lots of good interaction in the comments.
Stuff.
So
it is a good industry if you run it right and do it right, guys. It really is. It'll tear your body up no matter what. But I raised a large family with it, and it's doable.
Yep, yeah, absolutely.
All right,
I love
thanks,
it. I
guys.
wouldn't do anything different.
Awesome.
Appreciate
thank you guys. We'll catch you next time, next Tuesday with Tuesday Night Live with Mechanic Alliance. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.